Hello and welcome. Happy New Year. I have been doing a bunch of hypno things and I'm excited to talk about some of those with you guys. I recently was at a hypno event. It was great. If you are interested at all in participating in the live hypnosis community, I highly recommend them. This one was massive. There was over 400 people and there were a couple hundred people online as well. There were initially supposed to be almost 500 people in person, which would have been crazy. It's hard to see everybody. Like, there are people there that I know, but I didn't get a chance to interact with them because we were just all too spread out, which is a shame, but still pretty good to see the people that I hadn't seen in a long time, to see some people who are really, really great at doing hypnosis and really excited when it comes to, they're really exciting, when it comes to doing new things. So I was happy to be there. I did a couple of classes. I haven't, because of the pandemic, I really have only been going to DMDW. It's the only event I've really been doing for a variety of reasons. But I did 2 classes with one of my friends, and somebody else joined us for the second class. So the first class we did was a music class where we essentially played a whole bunch of musical happy songs. We called it Shiny Happy People. As you may well know, I really like it when your outcome from doing hypnosis, especially but not exclusively with me, is that you are a happier, healthier, better person. I just really adore that. So we did a class called Shiny Happy People, and there were a bunch of songs in there that we played. Some of them have like a really great message. Some of them have a really great beat. Take your pick. Whatever you like to do is awesome. I kind of like to let the the messages sink in over time, and for the beat to take me right then and there. Also, I have had a couple of the songs stuck in my head since we started planning the class. So anyway, so that was a lot of fun, and I was excited to do that. We played the songs. We spoke hypnotically to people while they were in the class, talking about a message that a song might present to you, or an idea that just feels really good. If you looked at the names of the songs, they kind of told a little story themselves. But we always hope that no matter what you find yourself listening to, that you have a good time and that you come out of it ahead, right? So, and the other class we called it Freeze Frame, and it was about showing a scene from beginning to end, from negotiation to the conclusion, and stopping the participants in the middle of it so that we can talk about what's going on and perhaps to direct or redirect what it is that they are actually doing. So changing up some of their actions in the middle, or talking about what they're doing and why they might be doing those things. It was a good time. And it was really nice to see the people that were there and how they responded and what they liked about it. And so I had a good time. I also have some new ideas for new classes that I would like to teach, which is great. I also had a really fun encounter. You may or may not know that my writing partner, and I wrote a book called Hypnotic Amnesia. And before we wrote the book, we were spending a lot of time working on techniques and working on how anybody could achieve hypnotic amnesia with these or other techniques. We're certainly not saying that these are all that there is. We don't want to limit people and their ability to be really great hypnotic subjects or to be really great at some kind of phenomena. So we would teach this class. I've been interested in hypnotic amnesia since the very first hypnotic event that I went to, which was, I don't know, a long time ago. So that was very first Nihu. That was where I was interested in it, and I proposed that as a class, and we talked about it. I always felt a little guilty. And I always felt a little guilty because it seems like you're doing something wrong sometimes if you're talking about amnesia. Is that appropriate? Like, is amnesia something that we should be doing? But a lot of people experience hypnotic amnesia naturally, and you can use it for all sorts of benefits. It's a lot of fun actually if you play around with it. But anyway, so we don't go to all the events. I don't go to all the events. I do not always teach that class at events because I don't have to. And somebody came up to me and they had taught the class. They were walking around in the vending area, and I was vending with a few things that I had, books and other stuff. And someone came up to the table and they had really awesome shoes on. They were like, I want to say they were like Crocs, but they weren't Crocs. But they were like slip-ons, kind of clog things. They had like a red sole and a white front of the shoe with a spiral on it. They were super cute. So I commented on their shoe. And about 15 or 20 minutes later, they came running back to me with a copy of my book. They were like, oh my God, I love your book so much. I didn't know who you were. I just used your book and taught this class, and it was great. It was just a delightful encounter. So I'm glad other people have their own spin on things and are doing things in a different way and are talking about it, because I think that it's important that people, instead of just regurgitating information that somebody else does their own deep dive into a thing and shares their experiences and has a really good time with making those things happen. So I've also done a whole bunch of amnesia stuff that never made it into the book. It's either after the book happened or I didn't know if it was important enough. So let's talk about amnesia today. Maybe we can do a little bit of a session regarding amnesia so that you can forget most of it. Now, the stages of forgetting, right? So does that mean that when I say wide awake, that you are going to be totally blank on whatever it was that I talked about? Maybe, maybe not. If you're the kind of person who does tend to forget what happens when you're in that trance state, like for example, me, if I go into trance, I usually remember the beginning and I remember the end, and then there's this whole section in the middle that I have no idea. I mean, I can't tell you. So it's part of the fun, right? And I kind of like that. I don't need to know what happens as long as I know that I'm safe while I'm doing it. So that's the key. We're going to make sure that you're safe while you're doing it. Is amnesia easier in person? So I'm going to say yes on the provision that you can use more of the senses, perhaps, to overwhelm somebody in a positive way so that they have amnesia about certain things. When I do in-person sessions, I often like to do this to the back of their hand. I just keep doing that the whole time I'm talking. And it's distracting. It's kinesthetically distracting. So kinesthetic means what the things you can feel on the outside of your body. I also sometimes think of it as the feelings that you have on the inside, but it's feelings in general is how I use it. Not everyone may do it that way. That's okay. You have to work with the way your brain best interprets stuff and be able to explain it to other people so that their brain can go, oh, I understand. So, because hypnosis is all about communication, right? So if I want somebody to forget a thing, I'm probably going to talk to them. I'm probably going to do something like this and tap the back of their hand. I may also additionally distract them with something shiny and lovely, right? So if I'm going to distract somebody in all three of the major ways, the other two are gustatory, that's whatever you taste, and olfactory, that's whatever you smell. So if you can distract someone with three of those five major ways, and I would consider the three kinesthetic, visual, and auditory, the three major of the five. If you can distract somebody in three of those ways, you're doing a really great job at overwhelming them in a way that lets them not really pay attention to what's going on. They can pick one or the other, or the other. And it gets harder sometimes for them to actually focus on what it is that you're saying when they do those types of things. So here we go. How about, there's only so much you can look at, right? There's only so many different things you can find yourself staring at. So I'm going to talk, and I'm going to perhaps ask if you would do that to yourself. You could do that, right? Just take two fingers and tap them back and forth. It's kind of like doing a weird handshake induction on yourself, but you're not actually shaking your own hand. You could do that. You can shake somebody's hand in such a way that you don't even have to do like a classic Ericksonian or Bandler handshake induction. You can, anyway. But so go ahead and just take your two fingers and tap the back of your hand like that. Thank you for participating in your own amnesia experience, hopefully. So as you find yourself tapping the back of your hand and listening to the sound of my voice, I'm going to show you my rings. I've got two, well, technically three, but I've got two on right now. So here's the first one. I think I picked this one up in the Netherlands one year. It's simply made of a whole bunch of wires that are strung together. It's not as shiny as some of my rings, but it still picks up the light in fun and interesting ways, and it can be good at distracting. If I was here in person, I might, have you touch it and feel the little bumps. It feels very interesting, but you're not, so you're just going to watch, and maybe you can feel the smooth little bumps as I talk about it, because some people are like that and they do that. This is the other ring, and you may or may not recognize this ring, but this is a lovely silver and teal with a high level of shine. And however you find yourself responding to it, perhaps you can notice that it's just super easy to give in. It's super easy to find yourself listening to the sound of my voice, to keep tapping the back of your hand, to stare at the shiny, for your unconscious mind to notice that all of those things just really allow you to pick one thing and to not be able to focus on the others. Or as you find yourself not really focusing but doing those things, like looking and tapping and listening, so you feel and you listen and you see, that all those things combine together to allow you to notice that it's very easy to forget something. Like, it's very easy to forget what's going on. You don't have to think about it. And it can feel so good to just do that. So go ahead and find yourself giving into that. The dropping and the sinking down deeply into trance. To notice that it feels great to simply give in to these suggestions. The more you give in to the suggestions, the more deeply in trance you go. The more deeply in trance you go, of course, the better it feels. And as it feels really good, what you can do is realize that you are simply just training yourself to go into trance whenever it is safe and appropriate to do so. And it doesn't really matter if you can. It doesn't really matter if you think you can't go into trance, because of course you can go into trance. It's a state that you go into twice a day as you're falling asleep and as you're waking up. Isn't that funny? So your brain can know that you can get there. And it's a question of whether or not you allow the suggestions that you find yourself hearing to take place. Obviously, if you're interested in hypnosis and the benefits of it, you're going to find yourself giving into the suggestions that you hear. You're going to allow your unconscious mind to take the lead and say, hey, I'd really, really love to help all of us make these suggestions come true. So I'm going to say yes to these suggestions. I'm going to make them happen. We're going to feel really good when they do that. And one of the best ways to ensure that you're going to find yourself giving into to the suggestions that you're given is by letting yourself drop down deeply into trance, and on a conscious level, just letting go of the stuff that you don't really need to know. You don't really need to know it because it's like the secret sauce. You can enjoy it while you eat it. You don't actually have to make up 5 gallons of it at home, right? You could. You don't have to. It's fine. So let your unconscious mind think about how good it can be to give in. Also, if you do know how it's made, how the secret sauce is made, it doesn't stop you from going into trance. In fact, it can help you go into trance even better. So let your unconscious mind pay attention. I wish this would. focus better. But allow your unconscious mind to think about how good it is for you to focus on one of those three things. Just pick one. Which one are you going to pick? You can go back and forth and back and forth, because as much as we like to think that humans are really great at multitasking, we are even better at dropping the multitasking and focusing on one thing and getting it done. So it doesn't matter if you're listening to the sound of my voice and dropping deeply into trance. It doesn't matter if you're tapping on the back of your hand and dropping deeply into trance. It doesn't matter if you're looking at this shiny silver and teal ring and dropping deeply into trance. The point is, drop deeply into trance. Notice how good it feels. Keep dropping more deeply into trance. And let the things that you find yourself thinking about and trying to remember, let those go. You don't need them. I assure you, you do not need them. Your unconscious mind can train itself to go deeply and powerfully into trance. It can train itself to feel really good when you go into trance. It can train itself to know that you can accept, reject, or adjust suggestions as required to allow you to get the best experience out of it. It can allow you to know that no matter what you find yourself doing in trance, that you can safely forget, because you can trust that your unconscious mind is going to do the best job for you that it knows how to. Because that's kind of the point of what our unconscious mind does. We teach it to do certain things, and it does them for us really easily and really effortlessly. And if we need to, we can adjust what we do. Isn't that wonderful? We're sort of programmable, different than a computer. We're not computers, are we? Not really. And they're not us. So we can allow ourselves to feel how nice it is to give into that state of trance, to allow ourselves to realize that hypnosis and amnesia are things that we can find beneficial, that we can give into, and that can be useful for us. So drop down deeply into trance while you keep tapping, while you keep listening, while you keep seeing, or maybe your eyes have long closed by now. I don't know. However you find yourself doing it, hold on to how good it feels to drop, to give in, and to just appreciate how good it is for you to be right here, going more and more deeply into trance right now. So I'm going to remove the ring, and you can notice that as I remove the ring, you can find yourself coming up from trance just a little bit. You can stop tapping your fingers on the back of your hand, and as you do that, maybe you slow first and then you stop. However you do it, you can notice that you come up a little bit closer to consciousness than you were before. And I'm going to keep talking, and that's okay. I'm going to count from 1 to 5. And as I count from 1 to 5, you can let yourself become fully awake and aware. Did you forget everything that you heard? Maybe not. Are you going to always remember it? Probably not. 1, 2, taking in a nice deep breath. 3, moving and stretching just a little bit, letting yourself feel really good. 4, opening up your eyes if they're not already open. And 5, wide awake. So thank you for being here. Allow your unconscious mind to, if you wanted to forget, allow your unconscious mind to hold on to the messages that you need to hold on to from what I've said today, and allow your unconscious self to make sure that your conscious self just forgets everything else. I mean, maybe you want to watch it again, just in case. So thank you for being here. Happy New Year. I hope your year is going really well. If you are so inclined, I hope that you come and go to one of the hypnosis events, and maybe I'll see you at them. I do enjoy going to them, and I do like meeting new people. So please, if you see me at one, come up and say hi. And I will be back at some point in time, and I would love to chat with you again later. So either here or there. So bye.